Hello and welcome back to another Backflip Happy Hour. The ending there took forever. I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and it wasn't happening. I'm Ryan Fring, one of your co-creative directors here at Backflip. Joining me, as always, we've got John Shoemaker. Say hey, John.
Hello. I am also wearing glasses today.
it's been a while since we've been on. It's been like 3 months or something because we've been working. Right?
Yes,
Where have we been? What's going on?
we've been all over the place. There's been vacations, so some of it's been that. I've been out in the wilderness in many different forms. Uh, Hawk, eagle,
Yeah, I was gonna say what types of forms? Those are your
um,
favorite too.
different camping trips and things like that. And then I think you've been on some. And then we also were traveling for two different clients. We're up in the north woods of Minnesota with one client doing some Ojibwe word of the day stuff, and then but then more recently we've been all over the place with a documentary that we're working on about data centers and green technology and environmentally conscious. Yes, Caroline, I'm an anamorph. Uh, Environmentally conscious building. But that took us everywhere. I think you guys were in. You had a crazy week of like 3 states,
Yeah,
almost
that
on
was
the same
nuts.
day. But
Yeah, we started off in San Diego, or San Francisco, excuse me, California. Then we went to Dallas, Texas. Then we went to Seattle, Washington, all in the same week. It was great. But I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be able to be back doing this.
it's
Like,
wild.
this is one of my favorite things to do. And you know what? Before we vamp for too long, I'm just going to bring our guest on because
Yeah.
she's awesome. We got Kate Prehn joining us here today. How's it going, Kate?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I
Yeah,
love
so
that
good to
you
see
haven't
you.
done this show because you've been working. And then you're like, yeah, let's get Kate Prehn on because now
Yeah.
you're not working.
No, this is great. I mean, like, this is what I enjoy when I'm not traveling. Like, I just want to hang out with people and talk. So, I mean, I'm at work, right? So it's kind of like working, but we do enjoy the time in the office because a lot of what we do, right, is traveling. But enough about us. Let's get a little intro from you for those who don't know who you are.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Kate Prehn, and for the last, oh gosh, almost 13 years, I've been working at the Wisconsin Alumni Association and now the Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association. I have the pleasure of just getting to do work on all sorts of really amazing programs that engage alumni of the University of Wisconsin. Everything from Grandparents University, I've worked on our homecomings and reunion programs, and now I also get to travel and do some really fun things in cities across the United States. But I'm also a mom. I actually live right next door to Ryan and have been in Fitchburg here for about 6 years. My son's in first grade and we have a dog. I also have a husband and a fish. And we love just getting outside and
Is that the level of importance?
Yeah.
a fish.
I, lo-
Yeah.
I
The
love
fish is
between
3 years
dog
old.
and fish.
So
Yeah, exactly. Husband or son, dog, husband, fish.
that's right.
Sorry, Justin.
Yeah. No, no, I think he knows that.
Love it.
The husband feeds the fish. That's his responsibility too.
Oh yeah. It's like the natural hierarchy there. I love
Yeah.
it.
Fish and
Um,
houseplants.
Also, your glasses look fantastic. Excuse me. As
Thank
like a
you. Thank
wearer of
you.
large glasses, you were gonna take them off earlier, but I was like, no, leave them on. They look so great. Do you look fantastic? You work from home. Is this
Mhm.
your typical work from home? Like, are you business up top, party on the bottom, or like, how's that going?
So it depends. So I actually work from home 3 days a week. And so I think today is a good day. It's Friday. So I am wearing cutoff denim shorts and I'm barefoot today. But also work from home, lots of leggings. In the height of the pandemic, when I was working from home all the time, my goal was to wear real pants at least one day a week. I'm talking buttons, zippers,
I love.
anything. And there was no time limit. So sometimes I literally just wore them for 30 minutes and then took them off and got comfortable.
Basic goals. I love that
Yeah.
so much. Oh, here we go. I got this. I got a little title for you. Director of Advancement Programs with the Wisconsin
Hey,
Foundation Alumni Association, just like you said.
it's great.
So this is a happy hour, so we do like to talk about what we're drinking. John, why don't you kick us off? What do you got?
Sure. Well, I have. It doesn't look as nice now because I drank some of it. I have pineapple tesseract in our Let's Drink Awesome glass that Hannah designed. Yeah, there's a backstory there. We're probably the inspiration for this beer from Carbon 4, but it's kind of like a Blue Moon, but like pineapple instead of like orange. And then on a whim, I ran back to the kitchen to go grab the old smoky Tennessee
Mango habanero
whiskey.
Oh, so good.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna pour it, and then Ryan was like, "We should probably just take the bottle over there." It's like, yeah, I guess I
Can you run that over here?
Experience. It's like
all this I can bring home. It's
like
you can have it in a few hours.
I'll meet you at the fence. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah.
Little beer and a little mango habanero. All right. I'll go next and we'll save you for last, Kate. You pulled one out, so I pulled one out. I've got the old Carbon 4 cucumber melon. This is actually my favorite seltzer. And I'm kind of high maintenance. And so I'm like, 85 calories and no carbs. That'll be great. So I got that. I'm crushing right now this Zoa energy drink, like 160 milligrams of caffeine. So when I'm bouncing around, that's why. And then, depending on how the conversation goes, I can jump into maybe a scotch, if we're getting really nostalgic. Tequila, if we're getting kind of feisty, I've got some options here. So,
what you can't see is Ryan's actually, working behind a bar where he is right now. There's people in front of him. There's patrons, and he's just can go back there to the shelf and get more.
Yeah, it's all Tom Cruise style. Yeah. All right. Now, Kate, what are you drinking?
Me, I inspired Ryan, so I'm drinking the Carbon 4 Huckleberry. Here we go. I'll just crack it open.
Oh yeah.
Gotta love that sound.
Let's go.
And I didn't bring a backup, but there's only one beer left in our house, so I might have to tap into the liquor cabinet if depending on how the conversation goes. Yeah, I got a brand new bottle of the fancy Costco bourbon. So
we were just talking about that the other night.
Taste test that one. Yeah,
I would love to try that in a Manhattan. Actually, what was I going to say? Oh, otherwise, if you need anything else, some wine or something, I'll just text Monica, have her meet you at the fence real quick,
or have a little, bring it over.
Oh yeah, that'd be so great. Like, who's at home right now? Have Mary, the 3-year-old, bring it over.
She would.
Here, Mrs. Prehn. Oh my gosh, that'd be so great. Yeah.
And I have water.
Oh, that's boring.
I'm also drinking water because
responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were also in San Francisco, but that was that a work trip and
that was
vacation?
Not a work trip. That was that was our family's first family vacation since 2019. So we've gone to visit family in Colorado, which, is a nice getaway, but it's not quite the same. So we flew into Los Angeles, we rented a convertible, and then we drove up the Pacific Coast Highway to San Francisco.
That's right.
So my dream growing up was to be a mom in a convertible, and it's taken me 6 years,
amazing.
But finally made that dream come true. So
where do you go from here, though, if you've already hit your dream?
Well, you just, I think that's the thing about dreams. I've always wanted to be a video intern. So if you know anyone looking for interns,
Man,
I know a guy. Yeah,
I can push buttons.
I feel like I got to get working on my list of goals because you've got mom in a convertible, a pair of pants once a week. Was that the other one?
Yep.
Like there's so many goals that you have, and I'm just kind of just floating through life here.
You've got more
gotta
animals to
start.
be in the forest.
Yeah.
Different animals besides the hawk and the fish or
Yeah.
whatever you had
Yeah.
before. Let's see. We also had, so we are live. And I'm going to be bouncing around, so feel free to keep talking and not let me interrupt. But we can pull up people's chat. We have David Golden jumping in saying, Kate is the best, talented, creative, and a joy to work with on projects. Let's see. Do I recognize that name? Have we worked with David before? Is he one of your
haven't.
team members?
That's part
Okay.
of the Team Prehn fan club at WFAA.
Oh.
One of my colleagues love working with David. He's on our
Nice.
facilities
Welcome.
operations team. So they like make the behind the scenes dreams come true. Like all the things we take for granted, his team just does and they magically happen and things always work.
Oh my gosh. Those are like my favorite people. We've got a guy here, Luke, who we call Luke of all trades, where it's great. Like I've even gotten to the point where like he does the stuff and I'm like, yeah, give him the credit, even though I came up with the idea or bought the thing. Like our storage room, and we have a ladder that folds up and stuff, and like we've done like all the personality tests and things, and like I'm great at invention or whatever, so I like to solve problems, but being creative director, I don't have a lot of time to like implement a lot of that stuff. But he's very tenacious and can do that stuff. He just doesn't like coming up with ideas. So talk to him, have a brief conversation, and like a week later, he creates this, stair system that folds up against the wall. And everyone's always like, that's the most amazing thing ever. And we're like, yeah, Luke's smart.
Very cool.
So those are my favorite people.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly do you do? I mean, we've worked together,
yeah,
right, in the past where you needed to create video,
would you say?
marketing. What would you say you do here? But what's your title? Let's pull that back up. I've got it over here. Director of Advancement Programs, and you said you're traveling more now. So like, what is that? What do you do?
Yeah. So I'll actually give myself a promotion there. I'm managing director now. So that was a shift in this last July, which was very
added another word to that title.
Another word. Yeah.
I think the longer the title, the less it means.
Exactly. The more other people do the things, and then you just take credit for all of the great people that are doing all of the things.
Yeah.
So I'm an ideas person too, but also very much a get it done, but lean on the people around me who are really good at connecting dots and asking the questions and saying, hey, great, crazy idea, Kate. Thanks for the update there.
Fix it.
But how are we going to do that? You've just tossed out this wild idea to transform basketball courts into like a gala space. How the heck are you going to do that? Turns out it's a lot of carpet and electrical rigging and lighting and all sorts of things. But my team, we work on a number of events that engage alumni and a lot of our really large donors at the University of Wisconsin. So some of our recognition societies, as well as alumni who live in some of what we call key geographic areas. So outside the state of Wisconsin, it's New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Twin Cities, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Boston in a way, and places in Texas, Seattle, Denver. So looking to those markets to just bring university experts to alumni and create really cool experiences where they can reconnect with university and with each other.
That it sounds like a lot. It sounds, like what's hoof to snout or whatever.
Yes.
Right. It sounds like there's a ton in there. Like, what does it practically look like then?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like I think also the nuts to bolts, right? That's another.
Nuts to bolts. Thank you.
Nuts to bolts. I mean, it's a lot of really leveraging partnerships and relationships and collaborating. In a lot of these areas, we have chapters of alumni. So volunteer leaders who have really great full-time jobs during the day, but love the university and spend time evenings and weekends and wherever they can fit it in, helping to bring UW game watches. So for football, basketball, really anything. And then campus faculty to their areas. So we work with them. We work with campus units thinking about where their priorities are, where their alumni live, which faculty they want to highlight, people who are doing super cool research, whether that's applied or theoretical. So we work a lot across campus. And then, of course, there's event managers and facilities colleagues who just really help to take care of all of the odds and ends that come with doing a big event, and our marketing colleagues, and we have a production team, like print production. So we have an in-house large printer, so we do invitations and they get cut and mailed. So it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. They're big teams that have tons of moving parts all the time.
Yeah, and so that travel is that to go to the events and to facilitate and to set them up,
to go to them and to Alumni Relate, which is my favorite part, which is where I just get to show up and make sure things are running well and talk to people, hear about their experience at the university, what they care about and what they would want to see. We also have a travel program that another colleague of mine manages. And so back in March, I had to go to the Galapagos Islands for work.
Oh,
so yeah,
you poor lady.
I had to go to the Galapagos Islands, which had been on my bucket list since the 6th grade when I learned about the Galapagos Islands from my teacher, Mrs. Green. Shout out to Kate Green in Mankato, Minnesota.
Like the birds or whatever, the very specific.
The Darwin's finches.
Yeah.
That was a pretty amazing opportunity, and they just can't get rid of me. So they keep adding words to my title, and here I am.
Yeah. What's after minute? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, we're just building. Like, we got pants once a week. I'm in a convertible, Galapagos Islands. I mean, it's exponentially growing. So I'm really interested to hear the next story as we continue this conversation.
Yeah, like where do we go from managing director of advancement programs with the Wisconsin Foundation Alumni Association?
Honestly,
is there like senior or like chief?
I don't even think I stop there. I think I go straight to being a university president or chancellor. I think that's where I'll just go next. I'll just
can I vote? Can I vote for you?
Yeah, I wish you get like emeritus in there. You get the word emeritus, which just means like you won't leave, even though people are like, "Go."
She's retired.
Yeah, like maybe in like 25 years or something. Yeah. What did you go to school for?
So many things. Many things.
Anything related to what you actually do?
I was, when your first major goal in life is to be a mom in a convertible, that kind of puts you on a path to dabble in a lot of different majors once you get to
you can get your MRS degree. Yeah.
Yes. So I eventually got one of those. I went to school. My degree was from the School of Human Ecology, Family Community Education dash Community Leadership. Family Consumer Community Education dash Community Leadership. That's it. I said community twice and missed consumer. Now it's nonprofit management studies. So.
Oh, wait. Now, like that's what you got your degree in?
Like shortened it up. Yeah. So they call it's like the Commons program now through the School of Human Ecology.
Oh, interesting. That kind of makes sense.
Super interdisciplinary. It was a blast. I loved it.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if it was a title somewhere or in your bio maybe, like teen programming in the community, like in Fitchburg. That's like a thing you do.
That's a thing.
Yeah, tell me more about that, because that seems very in line with the original title of your degree.
Yeah. So when I just graduated and I was looking for more meaning, and so I stumbled into the Avid Tops program with the Boys and Girls Club. And I wanted to be a mentor, but was looking at the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters program. And I didn't feel like I had the capacity and energy to to maintain a really strong weekly relationship with a little person.
Mm-hmm.
But I still wanted to do something. So I stumbled across Avid Tops, which is actually geared towards high schoolers. And a lot of them would be first time college attendees in their family. And so I mentored a number of high schoolers and eventually met my friend Joe Maldonado, who's actually he's another UW grad. He's an older person, city of
Yes,
Fitchburg.
isn't he our alder person?
He's our older person.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And so got to know Joe through that and had sort of stayed in touch with Joe a little bit throughout the years. And back in, it was winter 2020, he came to me and said, "Hey, crazy idea. What do you think about working with me to help build a teen center in Fitchburg, right over off of Anton
Oh, very
Drive or
cool.
somewhere in the neighborhood?" And immediately I was like, yes, absolutely. This is something that we need to do. There's never too much that you can do for youth. So we do a really great job taking care of children who are younger and school aged. But really, once teens become teens, the level of support and engagement from the community just sort of drops off. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
programs, even through the Boys and Girls Club, no longer support them once they hit a certain age. So really want to bring a space to our community that will serve the needs of teens in the Fitchburg area here. So primarily those who go to Verona area or in the Verona area kind of high school
Mm-hmm.
district. So a place where we can help nurture their minds, their bodies, help teach them some financial literacy, socio emotional skills, connect them with one another. My dream is to have a library in the space. We want to have like a basketball court and fields. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fantastic people working on the project, and it's just really starting to get off the ground. We're working with Equity by Design, who conducted some surveys of area residents and area teens, and we're now actually approved and in the Fitchburg City budget for the 20.
Oh, that's awesome.
So things are going to start to happen. It's just really slow. I'm somebody who I have an idea, let's
Yeah.
jump in, let's do it. And seeing the other side of how the city works is very interesting, coming from a very large nonprofit for what I do for work. Where we raise a lot of funds and we can use those funds how we wish.
Right.
The private fundraising and city budget combination is one I'm learning is very interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And do you guys at the university? So this is a tangential question, and then I want to get back to the teen stuff. Do you guys at the university, as a nonprofit, go through the democratic method? Because I've been a part of some boards, and you always have to go through kind of the form and function of bringing. And John, you can probably speak to AAF, raising. What are they called? Motion. Having a motion. All in favor? Aye. Do you have to make all decisions that way? Do you make any decisions that way at the university, or is it different business
So
structured?
WFAA is a nonprofit 501c3. So we're actually independent of the university. But we're the fundraising and alumni engagement arm of the university. But all of the funds that we raise for campus and campus units, all of that, we then pay the university directly. So they get those funds. So with the funds that come in, we're operating under how donors want us to use the funds, as well as how the university kind of lays out what their needs are. But we have our own board of directors. And so our board of directors really oversees our budget, like the really big picture, what we do, our mission. And then from there, our leadership teams within the organization help to set the strategy. So I'm in a place where I get to sit around the strategy table for alumni engagement. So we're talking about what we want to do, why we want to do it, and what outcomes we want to see. And then from there, then we have more autonomy to then go ahead and think about what would work, what do we want to try. And when we're, kind of piloting new programs, we just get to throw stuff to the wall and see what sticks. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Okay. So kind of at your guys' level of the unit, you're able to experiment and try things. But I imagine at some point, some of those initiatives are going back up to the board and they're going through the democratic process and they're like, all right, a motion to approve this idea from the, let me pull your title up again, Managing Director of Advancement Programs with
Yeah.
the Wisconsin Foundation Alumni Association, Kate Prehn.
Yeah. And, one of those new things is lately I've been working a lot on what are we doing to engage alumni who are between the ages of 41 and 54. So once students graduate, they have a super high affinity, most do, a super high affinity to the university. They're willing to promote the university, to advocate for the university. Very likely they're not giving to the university, and that's, we don't expect them to behave like that. But then as people start getting deeper into their careers, they start families, their level of engagement and how front of mind UW-Madison is kind of dips a little bit. And it eventually shoots way back up once they hit the age of 55, once they get closer to retirement, and then certainly once they are retired. So I've been working with my team to think about what are the programs that we can engage alumni 41 to 54. So we just piloted Admissions 101. So we had an online program last night with the director of admissions, Andre Phillips, that was geared towards alumni in Chicago. So we had a number of alumni attend that with their prospective badgers and their families. And then we also piloted this last spring a communication geared towards alumni who are just celebrating their 25th anniversary. So it was just it was a really fun, nostalgic look back. This was your time on campus. Do you remember Tamagotchis and Hanson and all of that fun stuff? The scrunchies, the flannels, and so we tied in a lot of campus and pop culture nostalgia into their experience.
That's amazing. I love that. And I remember those, but that would have been high school. And I feel like I keep going tangent to tangent to tangent. So I'll save this third tangent. We'll go back to the teen things. I think that's amazing and fantastic. The work you're doing there too. And I can't wait to see that. And I can't wait to help out, as a community member. I'd love to see, whatever that is. Cause like, what did they have before? Teens could like maybe kind of go to the mall or, there was other activities where you can just kind of bum around, right? Where you can just hang out, you can entertain yourself. And I think those types of things are very important because there's definitely been, some teens walking around. And actually, when we first moved in, I was taking trash out at night or something, and there was a small group of teens, and they're just kind of walking down the center of the road, and I'm like, you guys should get off the road, be careful, like whatever. I didn't say anything, and they're walking, and like the house next to us, right, the sister's house, they're like, ooh, let's go up and ring the doorbell and run. And I was like taking the trash out, and they saw me, and then they just kind of kept walking. I was like, that's okay, like, good clean fun is good. I think now there's a little bit of car rummaging around in people's cars. So providing people with just better things to do with their time, like, idle hands are the devil's plaything, like to provide better opportunities, I think is awesome.
There's the, I know everybody's tired of talking about it, and so am I, but we have to. The last couple of years with COVID, like just really threw a wrench in a lot of things. Like we're even going through that with this other organization that Ryan was talking about. I'm the president of American Advertising Federation this year, and you get
all hail the president.
Yeah,
ooh, that's what's next for me. I'm coming after that, John.
Yeah, the Queen had to die in order for John to become president.
Yeah. That's actually when it happened. I got the call this weekend.
Like,
so basically, like, you get thrown off of routine, and then you just kind of forget that there's like a new group. There's a new crop of teens. There's a new crop of employees. There's a new crop of people involved in like various networking groups that don't have any consistency or connection to like how things had been done. So there's just this wandering. I'll just use that analogy to connect it to Ryan's story about the teens wandering. There's just like a what do we do? Where do we hang out? How do we do anything? And not to sound like an old fogey, even though we're all becoming them. Social media and just like phones and stuff is like, I hear stories about like teens like not knowing how to hang out anymore, and it just like
Not
kills
knowing
me,
how to socialize. Yeah.
Yeah.
and like, so I'm thinking, and it even reminds me of, I mean, I had places to go. I had a good, network of friend groups and their parents who would like have us all hang out. But I had a few instances where I got to hang out at the teen center in Mayville, Wisconsin, and it was awesome. I wasn't like
Mhm.
the usual crowd, but it was just like, it was really cool. And yeah, it takes a lot of work for people to do that. But anyway, I don't know what I'm teeing up here, but I'm just interested, I guess, in
No,
maybe
I'm ready.
your perspective on what it's taking right now to like reconnect people and take teens who like just a few years ago were not teens, and so their experience of life is like not being able to go anywhere and do anything because everybody's like trying to like stay home and not get sick.
And I want to keep that question for you, Kate. The thought that I had that I wanted to jump in with too is like my kids. It's great, and probably Jackson too. Pretty soon, like my older kids can like ride like 3 blocks away, and there's like 10 families with there's like 30 kids or 40 kids, right? And it's great because they're like roaming band of kids going from like house to house. There's like a barefoot 3-year-old running down the middle of the street. It's super fun, and we have the park right there, which is nice, so they can do that. But it would be great too to be able to have them ride their bike to the library, have them ride their bike to this other thing, and have activities because they go so much. Like you know Jackson is 6, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Um, that energy level, like if we could put that in a can and drink it, like
Mm.
man, oh man, like I come home and I'm like, okay, I am gonna hang out with you guys and put the time in, right? But like just everything going on, that level of energy needs an outlet, and if it doesn't have a good outlet, then it's gonna go, it could go in a bad way.
Mhm.
So it's really really important. So back to over here, kind of John's question and directionality there. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, the
Mhm.
oddness over the last couple of years, and then the opportunity that this could provide.
I think it's, we hear a lot about resiliency. And especially within the last couple of years, I think we all found out that we were both stronger and weaker than what we thought. I think going into the pandemic, that who we are shifted quite a bit.
Mm,
I think people realized what they were interested in, what they're passionate about, what they cared about, who they cared about. But when everybody has had to distance themselves socially, social distancing in remote learning for all ages, we're seeing the studies. We know that this it set everybody back a couple of years. And to John's point about for these teens who are now teens and they were preteens and in their very formative years for the last 2 years,
hmm
relied on social media inside their own house by themselves where they were most
Yeah.
comfortable, and now they're put into real world situations. um, they just haven't learned the social skills that you need. They haven't learned all of the body language and the cues that exist that I think a lot of us take advantage, or take not take advantage of, but take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And so for
No, I take advantage of body language. Yeah. Just get a
I've
good,
I've
you
heard
know,
that.
make people uncomfortable.
And everybody knows what that means. I think that younger kids and adults are a little bit more resilient than those who are not comfortable in their own skin and bodies and have questions and face inequalities. There are so many preteens and teens that just need a space that's theirs, that's safe. It doesn't have to be heavily programmed. It should have drop-in resources. And I think taking the time to build a space like that that's being driven by teens, it's not being driven
Mm,
by us as adults. We really want this to be driven by teens.
hmm
And we're working with teens to help us create what the center is. And the teens are essentially leveraging our expertise as adults to build
hmm
a space and get this accomplished. And we just have to listen to
mm,
kids. We have to really care about youth and listening where, I'm somebody who always has an answer, right? Like, oh, I know
mm,
how to fix that. I know how to do that. So it's a really great, it's a test for me to listen and to hear what they have to say and offer a variety of different paths when I think I might know the right one. Um, but let them lead us down this road and let them build it for us and for the community.
hmm
It's
Except
a
yeah, I was gonna say, except we can't just have Fortnite. Like, it can't
no,
just be, 5 stations or 20 stations with Fortnite, and they're gonna play Fortnite all day.
yeah, yeah. I love this, saving the world one teen at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
mean, they
mean,
are. I mean,
I like to
these are
joke,
our
but
future. I mean, they
yeah,
really are.
absolutely. Absolutely. And, we think about it with our own kids, right? Like, listening to them,
Mhm.
hearing what they need, and then we have to guide them in
Yeah.
some way. So shaping that and saying, okay, well, you want to try it your way? Here's why I recommend we do it a different way. But if you would like to try it, I will let you try it your way. Like,
Mhm.
the kids lose their mind sometimes when, like, dishes, like if dishes aren't getting done. So in our household, all the kids do the dishes primarily. Um, and sometimes, they slack off and they don't get done at night. And so then they have to get done in the morning. But so and so didn't put this away, and, all the reasoning and stuff. So then we started coming up with systems to improve that. But the older kids get really invested. And so we're like, okay, well, what do you guys think? How do you think it should work? What do you want to do? Right. And their answers aren't always great. But I think that when they feel heard, and this is kind of what you're talking about, asking the teens, this is what we've learned with adults too, like everybody. When they feel like they're being heard, they have more buy-in, even if you go a different route.
Mhm.
And that's been fantastic for dishes, because we were going to change it up because something wasn't working, and we were like, guys, this isn't working, so we want to change it up to this. They started, like, revolting. There was like a French Revolution happening. They were going for our heads, and we're like, okay, well, what do you guys think we should do? And they're like, well, we want to do the old system, but here's the slight modification we'll make, and we'll do it that way. And we're like, okay, what do the rest of you think? And they're like, yeah, let's do it that way. We're like, okay, we don't think it's great, but we'll give it a shot. And they've been doing pretty well with it, because they have some ownership in it too. And that's what seemingly could be really helpful, or it sounds like you're talking about, and is really helpful, is like, they will have ownership in that thing that is for them, as opposed to, and this is, I hate it when I see a movie or a piece of content and I'm like, that just looks like old people trying to make something for young people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It feels out of touch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Exactly.
I was when my sister and I were in those formative teen years, we're starting to have a lot of, like, uh, just conflicts in the household, and my dad did the classic from a movie, from a book, like, instituted, like, family meetings.
Mm,
And we were, resistant to it at first, but it became, like, this super valuable thing, because, yeah, you felt like you had a space where you could say, okay, well, this is what I think, or what's bothering me, or whatever. In the end, they were still guiding us or whatever. But yeah, it's
You could provide feedback to your parenting
yeah.
or to the, yeah.
I'm actually not accepting feedback to my parenting. No thanks.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
But you're
Well,
you're
it's
6.
at certain ages, right? Yeah,
But
exactly.
John, your point, like the family meetings were teaching you a way to manage the conflict and come to, joint resolutions together. And
Mhm.
I think managing conflict and mediation, the peer-to-peer mediation, is something that I remember from personal
Mhm.
experience as a teenager. And they're skills that we have to learn, and we need people to teach them to us. And um, students and kids today just they're not getting that as much.
Mhm.
And not all parents are teaching that at home either. So they have to hear it, and wherever they can
Mhm.
hear it from. And the experiences that that resonate best with teens are ones where you're addressing their life and you're addressing what it
Mhm.
means to them. I remember, like, my sister and I, it was like the great LEI jeans fight. Like, we both had the same pair of jeans, but they were two different sizes.
Ah.
And my sister took my jeans off of my bed before I went to school. And I came home and they were gone. And then 2, 3 weeks later, I see my sister walking across the living room in my jeans. And what did I do? I tackled her, because what else do you do in a situation like that? And I
Right.
remember my mom being like, okay, I'm not breaking this up. You two need to get this out of your system and then we'll talk about it. And then it was the same thing. It was a family meeting and I got very nicely chewed out about how inappropriate that was and how unkind I was being to my sister and sharing, and you didn't even buy those jeans and all sorts of things. But whatever, how we just need to teach it. We need to learn it. And I think we all probably
Mhm.
still need reminders.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a balance too. Like we like to think like, oh, we're modern. We know so much better than our parents. We know so much better than anyone in history ever. But the reality is, there might be more information, but we're all still trying to figure everything out, right?
Mhm.
I think back to when I was a kid, and you're like, oh, my parents knew everything. Like they were experts, and now you're an adult and having kids. You're like, they didn't know anything. They didn't even read books, whereas I try to read books. But I think the importance is balancing, like, okay, what is our traditional knowledge? What is our family historical knowledge? And like, are there new things that we're learning? And how do we balance those two things together? Because I feel like on the one hand, like my parents read the book, How to Parent with a Wooden Spoon, right? And I feel like that's very common in like the 80s and 90s. Whereas now there's a book that can confirm any type of bias you might have, but there's the kind of oversaturation of like, okay, now Timmy, why do you think punching somebody in the face is wrong? Timmy, don't punch me in the face. Timmy, please stop punching me in the face, right? And there's going too far in one direction where, and my wife and I actually constantly push each other where she's like, well, more love and logic. Let's make sure we're talking with them and being patient. And I'm like, yep, I will work more on that. And at some point, the buck stops, like tantrums and throwing and breaking and hurting, like that has to be addressed, maybe more in a stern manner, but certainly you always try to approach it from love. You always try to kind of combine all these things together, and at the very least talking it out can cool everyone's jets, so
Mhm.
that's nice. But it seems like sometimes when there's this attitude of like, oh, let's throw the baby out with the bathwater, it's like, no, maybe we can try to incorporate all the things, because humans have been doing this for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, right? So there's some learned things that we can take, but hopefully we can get better. And you know I don't know if you guys find yourself doing this, but sometimes I'm like, I'm doing this thing my parents did that I didn't like. Why am I doing it? And like I give my parents crap. I give them a lot of credit. They're great. They raise us really well. But I'm like, some of my annoying traits are from growing up in your household, and I'm trying to work through them, and I'm sorry that I'm still annoying, but like that's from you guys. And they're like, well, what? Like, we didn't raise you that way. Like, yes, you did. But I don't, there's nothing bad about that in the sense of like, there's no judgment. But moving forward, it's like, let's just acknowledge that and let's all just do better together. And let's do this. Let's save the world one team at a time. That's my poignant title here. So we've kind of gone down this road. You did say when you're a problem solver, so it makes me think kind of about myself. I'm definitely a problem solver. I know John's a problem solver too, but John also is an external processor. And I often like to think in like complementary pairs. So like, I feel like John is a lot like my wife and that she externally processes things. John's like my work wife. Our wives make fun of us. Like I'm his work wife as well. I think Amanda coined that term for us. That's the first time I heard that. But
you seem so happy together too. Like it works.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
So he'll often externally process things and he'll start talking about something, or my wife will start talking about something. I'm like, okay, we'll do this. No, you're still going? Okay. No, we'll do this. Okay. Well, am I supposed to solve this or am I supposed to listen? It sounds like you're a problem solver. So I'm curious with like you and your husband, if that plays out in a similar way, like if he's one who likes to externally process and talk about it, and if you're just like, well, here's what we do, and if you're like me, listening can be hard. Is this a listen or is this a help out sort of conversation? Do you guys have that dynamic, or is it different?
Justin, bless his heart, is tell me what you want me to do and let's do it. And so I have, I'll get an idea or we'll talk about something. For example, last year, Justin said, hey, let's get rid of our river rock and put mulch down. So half of our landscaping is mulch and the other half is still river rock, right? Because I just like jumped in and started going. So he will help balance me a little bit. And sometimes he needs to say like, when are we going to do this? Like let's prioritize all of these things because you just laid out 10 different things you want to do. We can't do all of them at the same time. Tell me what you want to do first and we'll do that first. Justin he's a really great partner, and I can't imagine I'm the easiest with how excited I get about stuff because I'm very passionate and I have a lot of energy and I don't like to sit still. And so I'm constantly doing things. And he's learned that it's okay that he doesn't have to do that. And he's really excited that it's now NFL season and he's got a fantasy team. I'm just as excited because like he's busy 4 nights a week essentially now, right? But Justin just does a really great job of just, okay, I'll do it, and will kind of be my workhorse or will help me figure things out. And he's an engineer, so he's a landscaper, or not, I'm sorry, he's a land surveyor, which does translate into landscaping. But the way he thinks, and he will measure things. He will double check measurements. Last winter were working on, I built a fireplace credenza, I like to call it. And I didn't have a plan. I just like bought some cabinets, a piece of plywood and some 2x4s and a fireplace insert. And he's like, well, how are you measuring this? So then he's the one. So I get these crazy ideas and he's the one that spends more time and energy executing them.
Sure.
And I'm very happy with like how things turn out.
That's a good team up. Yeah.
He listens. He's really good at listening, and I probably don't listen to his suggestions and ideas as much as I probably should. So
yeah,
like I said, bless his heart.
Good complementarity. And John, I characterized you kind of in a particular way. Do you like, how would you describe you and you and Amanda's dynamic?
Yeah, it's funny. We joke and laugh about how like we're both fairly creative minded, and neither of us have a lot of like organizational, administrative type skills. So at home, although no one would label me with that here, I am that at home.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We just kind of trade back and forth because she's going to watch this and then she's going to like get on my case about it. So she homeschools our kids, and then she takes part in a couple different co-ops that. So she's teaching art like right now to a whole classroom full of like kids who are part of this homeschool co-op on Fridays. She does one on Tuesday. So she manages a lot of schedules and stuff like that. But your description, Kate, of how you like to start working on a project, she's teaching art because she's very artistic, and so she gets an idea and she just starts, and then she's halfway into it and she's like, "Hey, how do I do this?" And I'm like, I have no clue because none of this was started with a plan. And I don't know, like, I would have measured that ahead of time or figured out if I had enough material to complete the thing, like being halfway into gluing something and realizing that you don't have enough, whatever it is. So I feel a lot like the roles that I fall into are just kind of like, I don't know what you would call it. Maybe chameleon, like Rob would call it, himself a chameleon. I don't know if that's the right term.
One of our clients.
Yeah. It's more just like, I think I have enough confidence and capability to slot myself into whatever role needs to be filled in the moment. So if they're missing the organization and administration in a team, like it's not my favorite spot or skill set, but I can do it. Mm-hmm. Or, like I just kind of end up falling into various roles. But what Ryan's referring to is if you've heard of it's one of the newer work personality profile things called working genius. There's these areas of wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, tenacity, and I kind of fall into wonder.
Good recall of all those, by the way.
It's widget is the.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I fall into wonder and discernment, so I can spend a long period of time just out loud, processing out loud about different ideas and not moving on them, but just like, I wonder if we could do this better, and then those who are inventors like Ryan and others here are jumping in with like, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do that, we could do that, and then I also I will spend other time processing, discerning those ideas. So just being humble, like I can be annoying because I can, think about how we could do things better. And somebody proposes an idea, and then I can analyze that idea for a while and be doing those two areas that kind of come naturally to me. But like it's all like in this processing space instead of like the like, okay, well let's do this thing or let's make this thing or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I could. Mm-hmm. I don't have a point at the end of that thought, but that's kind of
no. It's just kind of ruminating on how you think and how you operate. And me and Monica are kind of like, I don't know, kind of a combination of various things. So some similar things like Kate and Justin, and then various Amanda, John. Like we just had this conversation the other day actually, where Monica will ask me a question, and for me it feels like such a leading question. I'm like, you don't want my feedback, you just want confirmation. She's like, no, I'm honestly wondering, like, which of these three do you like? And I'm like, well, I don't have a strong opinion. And when I start giving my opinion, you'll come very strong about one of those. And she's like, well, I'm an external processor. I need to talk it out, and I don't know until I talk it out. And it's like, let's go out to dinner. Where do you want to go to dinner? And she's like, oh, I'll go anywhere. And I'm like, okay. How about Laredo's? She's like, oh, well, I don't want Mexican. I'm like, okay. How about Takumi? Nah, sushi doesn't really sound good. I'm like, okay, I got one more suggestion and then I'm out. Like, you said anywhere, but really you have an idea. You just need someone to help you process it. So as a partner trying to be a good husband, thinking about how can I do my side of this better, have more patience, help you externally process when I don't externally process, I internally process. Like I've thought about it and then I'm just like, here's my idea, here's the action. Probably don't spend enough time in discernment or thinking about things. So trying to do more of that, but I also get a lot of stuff done. So, it's kind of that fun balance. And like with all these things, with the working genius, with the Enneagram, like I like to encourage people to think about them as descriptive, not prescriptive. Like sometimes people can use it and be like, well, I'm the discerner. So you have to listen to me to the conclusion that I came to because I'm the discerner. It's like, well, the language actually in that program is like, you get energized by this. You feel good. You probably are better at it, but that doesn't, mean that no one else has discernment or someone else's discernment is less good, right? Or my invention. I get energy from invention, but it doesn't mean my invention is necessarily better than John. It's just the first thing that I go to. When I'm trying to solve a problem, I just start solving it. But maybe a little bit more time thinking about it's good. And that's why partnerships are good. That's why teams are good.
Well, you need a discerner to ask questions.
Say that again? Oh, yeah.
A discerner to ask questions, to ask the questions that you wouldn't think about, right? Like, oh, yeah, great question.
Right. Well, even if
and
90% of the questions I've already thought about, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But having to say it out loud, having to go through the exercise of explaining to somebody why I think this would actually work.
Right.
And then you're like,
and honestly, it's like those other 10% that could change the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. I do like, those kinds of things. Like I'm not a morning person, I've always that, but at some point I came up with the idea that okay, I'm not like a natural morning person, but I don't want to be a slave to that kind of a label, because there's incredible value to me when I do get up earlier in the morning, because then I have time to Ryan's, he ran away. It's got to be a great experience for the viewer to be like, somebody just disappeared.
I lost him out of the stream. But no, so you get up in the morning, and do you find time for yourself in the morning?
Right. So if I get up in the morning, I have time to read, to pray, to take a look at my schedule for the day, drink a cup of coffee, have a little quiet, watch the sun come up. It's not the natural thing for me. I am more of a night owl. I do stay up longer, but I like that idea of what Ryan was saying is, it's good to know your strengths or to know your tendencies, where you go, but you don't want to become a slave to those.
Yeah.
Stuck there.
I am not a morning person, and my son's school bus picks him up. This year it's at 6:48 a.m.
Holy cow.
Last year was at 6:44 a.m. and it's crazy how much that 4 minutes more, extra time we have this year makes. But so he's out of the house before I would wake up.
Yeah.
So now I'm up, and then he's out of the house before 7 a.m. So if I'm working from home, I get laundry in. I can get a load of laundry in the washer and in the dryer. I can do whatever I want to do. I read, I sit, I drink hot coffee, which is something that, before I was a parent, I would never drink room temperature coffee. And then if you're a coffee person and you have a kid, chances are you probably aren't drinking hot coffee very often. I'll sit and have a cup of hot coffee, and the house is quiet. I can do whatever I want.
You're not getting emails.
I am. I'm just not answering them yet.
But
Yeah,
if
before
you take
8 o'clock, like not getting emails, like after 6 o'clock, like it's such a beautiful time.
Mm-hmm.
if you take that and apply it across to those other things that we're talking about, like, all right, so some of these other areas don't come as naturally to me. Um, the two lowest on that particular profile are enablement and tenacity. Um, but we were just talking, Ryan, about like, although I'm not a morning person, I don't want to be a slave to that label. Like, well, part of like becoming an adult is, growing in maturity as you compare yourself to the teens that you're trying to deal with, or to the kids, or to the college students even, is I don't have to be stuck in this category. Like, Ryan and I have talked about this a lot, like Enneagram and stuff. Is like, the more mature you become, the less it should be easy to peg, which one you are, because you should be able to like kind of just will yourself into other areas. They might be a little bit harder. You might end the day with less energy, but you should be able to like function in some other areas of expertise. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, like all these things, thinking about teens, thinking about ourselves and personalities, like it just all translates everywhere. Like it translates to our spouses, our partners, it translates to our kids, it translates to other people we're helping. And that's why I find it most interesting. Like we'll do something at work and then I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now I can kind of understand how you're different, like the kids at home, and what you could need, or how to talk to you in a way that you'll understand. And I love seeing those skills, like transfer those seemingly distinct environments, but at the end of the day, like you know, and John says this a lot, like we've been told to keep business. What is it? Now I'm going to ruin it. Your private life and business separate or whatever, but like our business like is a part of our private life. It's a part of our family. We're extended community members to some extent, and
Well,
so
personal,
there's
business and
yeah,
personal.
personal and
Yeah.
business.
Well,
That's
I'll keep
right.
business and personal separate. I'm like, business is personal. It's
Right.
people. The more and more we do this, the more I'm just like, well, the jobs that we have are with people who are like, I like these people. I'd like to hang out with them more. Let's do this work together. And then we're going to talk together. And there's going to be moments that become emotional, where there's like disagreements. We have to work through them like friends. And if we can't work through them like friends, then the job will, or that client relationship will end and it won't be there anymore. You can't just like analytically look at, well, this would make sense for
Mm-hmm.
this business to work with this because we provide the best value to them, and so they would just continue. Like, no, that guy doesn't really get along with me, and so he's not going to work with me anymore.
Yeah.
He's going to
Yeah.
overcome that for the logical choice.
It's almost more critical to think about that at work, because at home you're like, well, we can't get rid of each other, so we have to figure this out. Whereas at work, you might have some seemingly small misunderstanding that just totally ruins somebody's perspective of you or the relationship. And you might not ever talk about it. Like that might be the end of the working relationship, because that's how some working relationships can go. Whereas at home, you're stuck with each other. So you're like, well, we better figure this out. Otherwise, it's going to suck. So if you can get ahead of that at work in those relationships, and that's why it's important to remember it is personal. It's primarily personal. You know, we create great work. I'm sure you like the events you run are amazing and the connections are amazing. But at the end of the day, if there's not a good personal relationship, someone's not going to come back or not care or not hire us again.
I think, when you are working with a bunch of people who are all working towards the same goal, same direction, have a shared passion, not everybody has the same way to get to the end result or the vision, or to, and I think a lot of times that's where conflict comes in. at work and at home, but just sort of coming to terms with, we're going to approach this differently. You're a D, you're an I. We need to work together. We got to talk about it and put feelings aside. And hopefully, if you have a conflict, and I've had plenty of conflicts in my professional time, if you can just set that aside, get back to what it is that you're trying to work towards together and find a shared understanding and making sure you have common language and a solid set of beliefs that you're working towards together. I think anybody can work with anybody. You just have to work at it. And keep working, really.
Yeah, you have to desire that common goal and believe in it,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, And once you have that, once you have your sights set on something, you're like, okay, well, we're gonna walk this walk together.
Yep.
It's been fun. Me, John, and our other partner Scott are very different in a lot of different ways. We're similar in a lot of different ways, and it creates tension. And I think through that tension, it's made us grow a lot individually, as a group, as a business, and it's we kind of go through mental exercises once in a while. Like, it's very different if there's not one of us, or if there's a different different people in different roles, right? And I think that's great. Like, I regularly feel humbled, which is probably a good thing, as
How
opposed
does
to
that fit into the work marriage? I mean, are there 3 of you in the marriage?
There's 3, yeah.
And all wives?
It's very non-traditional.
Sister wives. Yeah, we're all sister wives. He comes from more of a corporate world and a financial world. And for him, the way he thinks is very financially oriented. And we kind of came more from an experiential and creative oriented kind of mindset. So, like, when we started the company, we're like, we're going to do things like the coolest things that we see to make people want to be here. Like, we're going to do food, we're going to have snacks, we're going to drink beer, we're going to try all these things. And there's been, varying levels of exploration with it. And, like, I feel like I used to drink a ton at work. Now I think we drink like a nice amount.
No, it's not so.
But
like, I was like,
a noon happy hour.
I was like, dang, I had like 3 drinks at work, and then I couldn't finish my emails. I was like, I gotta not drink as much at work. So you kind of figure some things out. But, like, just coming into that environment was very shocking and different to him. He's like, well, we're spending a lot of money over here, or not a lot, but we're spending money over here. I think we should not do that. But he had the wherewithal to be like, I'm gonna, we're gonna see how this goes. Like, here's my feelings on it. Like, and here's my experience with that type of thing. And, regular lunches, all the snacks, like, that stayed. That was something that he saw and learned. Oh, this is really good. We didn't really know per se that it was good, except that we felt that it was, or we thought that it was. Then there's other things where it's like, I would more frivolously spend money on things and just be like, I don't know, I'm going to buy that thing. We need it. We need this. We need that. And he brought more discernment into it. And John was always very discerning too. But, at the end of the day, how many battles does John want to fight with me about getting the new pieces of equipment? Right. So then we had Scott also be able to provide kind of some of that more discernment too. Like, do we need that? Do we have to buy a new camera every year? Can we wait? And I think that's helped me, be more fiscally responsible in some of those regards. So it's growing, all together towards a common goal, kind of like you were just sharing, in this weird sister wives marriage that we have here.
Well, there's just a lot of roles to fill, and we were talking about, bouncing around to, like, having to, be in whatever role is necessary at the time. And that's where, 3 business partners is just like, we're just sharing the work of the business, have our areas of expertise, but then, where, I'm not always discerning or whatever, but I would, jump into a meeting and it's like, okay, it's not like a conscious thing. I'm just like, okay, we need a good cop in this meeting. I'm good cop. today, or it's like I'm in something, it's like, okay, we need a bad cop in this meeting, so then I'm like harder line on financials when like Ryan's getting somebody like fired up about an exciting idea, you just, and we have spent enough time together and worked together enough to be really effective at that, to just kind of like, fill the roles that need to be made, and have somebody talking about one perspective and then offer the other perspective at the right time. And it is challenging. Interestingly, funny enough, Ryan and I went to UW-Madison, part of our connection to the foundation as well. And when we went to this, there was a business school workshop, or kind of like group that would give analysis on like your new business. And we were forming our business way back when. And one of their pieces of advice was, don't do a partnership, which I always thought was so goofy, because basically they were like, it's harder. It's just harder. And they were right in the end, but the difference in perspective, from us,
in the end, like this whole partnership isn't working. We're going to dissolve it.
Yeah. This is it.
Like, it is harder, but
I
think it's better, like just because it's harder, maybe some things go a little bit slower or whatever, but we are all individually interested in becoming, better men, better husbands, better leaders. And so it's hard, but that you're like growing from that.
Mm-hmm. On that very thoughtful note, I've got one more thought and question. I want to hit you. It's like a gotcha. It'll be fun. And then we're going to play a game called Two Truths and a Lie. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, let's bring it on.
I don't. So Emily, a woman who used to work here, now she works in the cities. She used to prep and kind of produce the show. And so she would let people know that. I forgot and didn't let you know, but it's good. So you'll just go on the fly.
I got it.
Right before that, though, it's interesting. My wife got a theology degree. They joke around like it's a liberal arts degree. They joke around, call it the MRS degree. We have communication arts degree. I think I have a Bachelor of Science in it. With filmmaking, I encourage people to not jump into college right away, to go and intern and just work. And that might be a great kind of, what's that word? I almost had it. Apprenticeship kind of path to get into it. I value the experience that I had. I value college. And there's certainly a lot of things that you need certifications for and very specific knowledge. I think maybe filmmaking might not be one of them. So that's kind of my question on like university, right? Like you are, in the thick of things. Like what is kind of your personal opinion with like your degree, and you're like, I'm still paying back some of my debt. Right. And for my kids, I'm like, depending on what you need, let's think critically about it. Mm-hmm. And what type of education could be useful for you, something more, apprentice oriented, or if, university is right for you. Because I feel like there was definitely like boomers. It was like the only way you're going to get a job, and this was true, a good job, is if you go to college. So, they struggled to go to college for the first time. Then our generation was like, well, there's no question you're going to go to college. Like this is just what people do. Things have changed. Jobs have changed. Like you can go, work for Google and make 80 grand after showing that you know how to code and you can be a good teammate, right? A lot of people can learn that in college. A lot of people probably don't even need that, right? And they'll hire people without degrees. So with the world changing as it is, mm-hmm. That's a lot of just thoughts that I have. Yeah. Like, what is that? What are your thoughts on all that?
So my thoughts on this, I think without a doubt, education is the best thing we can do for ourselves, the best thing we can do for our children, the best things we should be supporting. I think what's best really is all based on the individual. I remember, when I was thinking about applying to colleges and I was like, well, I think I want to major in this or that or that, and I had like 7 different majors and it took me 5+ years, to earn a 4-year degree. Not all students know exactly what they want to do. There are some students who are prepared to, apply into like a direct admit program, like, for example, the Wisconsin School of Business, where they know they want to be an engineer. They know exactly what they want to do. They've always wanted to do it. I think for those students, yes, go right away. I think for other students, and I think, back to myself and my own experience, I wish I would have listened to my mom when she said, you can go to like a 2-year college and just get your like general requirements done for less money, and then you could apply and go to a different university.
Yeah, especially once you have a better idea of what the heck you want to do.
Yeah, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because there's no solid program for if you want to be a mom in a convertible. So you have to go through, 7 different majors. I think that no matter what, if it's a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, or if somebody doesn't continue after high school or even just has a GED, I think that surrounding yourself with experiences and opportunities to continue to learn, to always be a lifelong learner. I think taking time for experiences, whether it's travel, interning, working in different places. I think everybody needs to work retail and everybody has to work in the food and beverage industry.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah.
I think those are solid skills that people, you learn how to do, but you also learn a little bit about gratitude and kindness and patience. Really it's different for everybody, but education is so important. And I think having access to education that's individualized, but really it's always there. So if you want to learn, you have the opportunity to learn, you have the resources to learn, you have the support of other people to learn, no matter what that looks like. So yes, to higher education. Absolutely.
In my opinion is, for the right thing. Cause also the way we learn has changed. Like for filmmaking, again, I'll speak very, very personally. There's master classes from all the major directors, major actors, right? So you can see a lot of that. And then there's actually online, film courses that can get you a lot of that kind of basic understanding. But then really you just need to get in somewhere, like get into an agency, get into a production company, and you'll learn a lot. So it's fun because I've talked at the what is it? It's the AAF version, but the student version at the university. Add 2, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Add 2 Madison. I should know what it is. I've spoken there a few times and I'm like, it's great. I was like, guys, let me set this up. I love the university. I got my degree here, and keep getting your degree. You're going to be in a good place. However, if you're considering film, here's another thing to think about. And if you can, get into like an internship, get into a company as soon as you can. Because for us too, like, will I hire a 4-year degree person to be a filmmaker out of college at the rate that they would like or need? Probably not, because it's more of an internship, kind of starting. Like I've got 2 editors. I could probably have a assistant editor, assistant to the assistant editor, right? Which is not going to make what you need to make to pay back your college. But in like 2 years of working here, you could probably be there, right? 2 years after paying back your student loans, like, are you going to be there? That's part of the challenge, right? Do you need something else?
And kids these days, they're changing jobs left and right,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, and again, it's like they want something that means something to them.
Yeah.
So let's give them something that means something to them. And then maybe they can stay somewhere longer than 3 months or 6 months, right? It's kind of a give and take. Yeah. What were you going to say?
I should make a plug here for the University of Wisconsin as being a top-rated research university. So UW is an amazing place to be. it's just not the right place to be right away for some students. Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
I'm
And
super thankful for my degree from UW-Madison. I know you guys are both proud of yours
and the experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I want to be like, kids, think critically. Also, I had a great time. It was good. It's valuable. John, you've been so quiet sitting there watching the dynamic,
I need to start making notes on my 2 truths and a lie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I was just saying, I was like, oh yeah, you can tell it's been a long time since we've done this because we've got a lot of our own thoughts that we need to get out to the internet.
So many opinions. Well, especially just working at the university. Like, I love having that conversation of like, university is so good. Also, there's other paths for people. Like 2 years, great. Apprenticeship is great. Let's make sure, even for our kids, we offer up those opportunities. Sorry, I stole your time.
Well, I think we're all, everybody's looking at the climate of the world and of the work world right now. Things like the Great Resignation and all of that, and we're just trying to like learn, take whatever lessons we've got, back to raising our kids and stuff. Take whatever lessons we've learned and try to like do better with our kids, to just be like, well, there's tremendous value, but it's not just a given. It's not just an automatic thing. I have no idea because I don't have like a double-blind scientific test to conduct, on myself. But I feel like, I could have been somebody who could have benefited from like a gap year or some other kind of experience before continuing on and getting my, bachelor's degree. But that would have been like outrageous because I was valedictorian in my high school. But it was not, so it was never like, it was not a thing that was like on the mind of my family, anyone that knew me or anything, because we weren't thinking about it in terms of like an individual, it was just kind of like, well, of course you go to college. But really looking back, I know in my own mind, and maybe it was because I was immature, I'm sure I was, but in my own mind, by the time we were like at the end of senior year, I was so mentally done. I was just, I don't know why, I just was like, I was just tired of it. That's not a great place to start, your freshman year, your first year of your next 4 years of school, like having come off of a year where like, I just feel like I'm done. So anyway, that it's a complex thing to me, like obviously there's huge value, but I think we all want to like learn better, and we want to have, I think what it also is we want to have less stories, especially from our kids and from our families, of like, well, I got this degree, it was super expensive, I'll be paying loans for the rest of my life, and I'm not working in that area. That's what we want to change. It's like,
although we might have that opportunity in December to forgive some of those loans, so
it's
there's zero risk. It's totally fine. All right, so on that contentious note,
yes,
just kidding. Go to college, kids, unless you don't want to or need to.
Do what's best.
Guys, it's time for 2 truths and a lie. That's Magdalene saying it several times. I love that so much. So this is 2 truths and a lie. Just for being here and for playing, I'm going to bring you home some of these, Kate. And I keep saying I'm going to bring them home. We're neighbors. We don't live together. So I'll hand them across the fence. Let's make awesome, or let's drink awesome, right? So you get a couple of those, and you'll get some of these for being on our happy hour.
Ooh, I love it.
And anyone
I should get you guys the newest red shirt.
Ooh,
you guys all need the newest red shirt, so
that'd be great.
I'll get you guys one of those.
I was gonna buy one, but then I had like a scary badger.
I almost wore that shirt today. It occurred to me later when I was like looking at the screen here. I was like, oh, I had that in my hand this morning, and I set it back down.
Well, let's coordinate next time.
Yeah.
Just call each other,
It's
see what we're
all
wearing.
the same shirt. I love
Would have
it.
been cute.
All right. So for those who don't know the rules, Kate's going to tell us 3 different things about herself, and one of them is going to be a lie. We don't know which one it is. We're going to, use our intuitive mind in order to try to figure out what is the lie. And if you are at home, you guess as well. If you get it right, you can also win some coasters. We'll send you some. You just have to end up sending us your address. Lots of people play, lots of people win. No one sends us their address. No one follows up. So I've got like so many of these sitting around that I want to share with all you people out there. And if you're listening on the podcast after the fact, just let us know. We'll send you some, and you can have these around as well for when you're drinking while listening to a podcast, because that's one of our goals, is to just get more people drinking. We feel like this is a real good thing for society, drinking together, listening to smart, fun people. So.
At noon.
At noon. I appreciate so much that you're drinking. We do hang out with a lot of different people, and a lot of times when people come from bigger corporations, they're like, yeah, I can't drink, it's a policy. So I didn't know if it was a policy or not, because we just drink together in the evenings anyway.
This is alumni relations.
There you go. I love it.
And I'm not driving company vehicles. I'm not purchasing major things. Yeah.
I love it.
All right.
So yeah, that's how we're going to play. You're going to tell us your 3 stories. One of them is going to be a lie, and we'll try to figure it out.
Okay. So wait, stories or statements? Sorry.
Just 3 things about yourself.
Okay.
One time I played this, and somebody literally told stories for like 10 minutes each for each of them. And after that, I had to change the language. Like, not stories. They're going to tell us 3 things.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, brevity is not my strong suit, but I can do statements. Okay. 1, I've been to Cuba. 2, I have assigned Keith Morrison autographed photo. 3, I'm double jointed in my elbow. Which do you think is the lie?
Jointed. These are 3 things we haven't talked about.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah, nice. Because we do. We hang out and we drink and we talk about all the random things. Later, we might do a movie tonight in the backyard. Just throwing that out there.
We might do a family date. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah. Just send Jackson over and then go on a date.
Oh, no backsies.
You could do that.
No backsies. Yeah.
You could totally do that.
He'll be there at 3.
Yeah. That'll be great.
Okay.
Let's see. So Cuba,
are the comments pouring in?
Signed photo. Yeah, we got AA Ron over on YouTube. I don't know if David Golden or Carolyn are still around. Some comments from earlier. I don't know. John, you want to talk it out?
Okay. So she was trying to keep it brief.
Oh, there we go. This is AA Ron. You finally got. I think we did get you some swag, Aaron.
Oh, he's going. Okay, so he made his guess. He went the.
Well,
elbow.
she said one of my elbows, right? One of my elbows is double jointed. Is that what you said, or both of them?
She didn't say.
I don't know.
You know what she did though is she said, "I've been to Cuba." Like, what a short statement. You know, like, so she, we've got autograph, that's a little bit more of a story. It's not a story, but it's just like longer. There's more detail there. It could be an autograph from not Keith Morrison. I don't even know who that is. I
just looked him up. He's the Dateline.
Oh my
Canadian broadcaster.
John, we have a problem. Oh my goodness.
So, so
yeah, you'd recognize him.
Okay, so there's like more of a statement there. Double jointed in the elbow is also more of a statement. It could be, most people that I hear of is like their thumb. Oh, that dude. Yeah. Okay.
From Dateline.
I'm really bad with names. Like I know like the faces of a lot of like directors, actors, whatever. I never know their names. People like
He's also Matthew Perry's
there's a
stepdad.
lot of oh, okay. Yeah.
That
From
is a
Friends.
weird.
That.
Yeah.
Stepdads of every
Yeah.
actor. So I'm going with Cuba. I mean, it's
There he is.
possible. It's tough to get there as an American.
Ryan, what's your vote?
So you're on Cuba. Aaron's saying elbows. The Keith Morrison thing seems like a really lame lie. Like if you're gonna lie, like be like I have a Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Like pick
Yeah.
I don't know, somebody everyone would know and be impressed by.
Yeah, think
Not
of like
really impressed by Keith Morrison. I feel like
Yeah.
that's something you totally would have.
yeah, think of like what random name would you come up with if you were going to tell a lie? You're like,
Yeah.
Keith Morrison.
Yeah, like I have a signed American Cinematography or American Society of Cinematographers manual from Shane Hurlbut, right? That would be super like industry, right? So maybe that'd be a good lie. So maybe it's a good lie, but it feels like too nerdy to be a lie. Like I feel like you totally do have a Keith Morrison signed photo.
Yeah, and she was really offended when I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Dateline,
It was.
baby.
Yeah. Okay, what's your answer?
Long live the king, by the way.
Cheers.
Okay, so
really
I feel like
that.
I would tend towards the third answer that nobody picked.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go double jointed as well. I'm gonna go double jointed. I'm gonna do it. That's my answer.
All right. Well, let me. I don't know how I can do it with the camera, but I am double joint. Nope, I can't. I'll show you tonight, Ryan, over a beverage. I am double jointed in my elbow. So is my son Jackson.
Oh.
I was in Cuba in December 2013.
Oh no.
Yes, on an educational visa. But I would love to have a signed photograph of Keith Morrison.
There it is.
There's a special place in my heart for Keith. So while super detailed, might just be revealing about me. I love true crime.
It's something you want.
Keith, if you're watching,
you're out there. Keith, may I call you Keith?
That's it. Yeah.
Look at that. Looks so.
And he'll have like these shots where he's like leaned up against like a post or a tree, and he's always wearing like jeans and Chuck Taylors and maybe like a leather jacket.
That's how you do it.
There's got to be some easy images to find. Diabolical.
Oh yeah, there's so many.
America's Canadian father. It's great. So nobody wins. So nobody gets any prizes, but I'm gonna still bring you some of these as some of your gift. Yeah. There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Do you want some glasses? If you don't want more glasses in your house, I won't give you them. But they're pretty rad.
Yeah, I'll cycle out some of the old ones that we still have around from when we used to like steal them from bars. Remember when you used to go out to bars downtown?
Yeah.
Remember those days? Yeah, I used to like put one in my purse.
We could have, again, the kids can watch Jackson. We could like do like an old college rager, but like adult style. So we'll be done by like 9:30. So we'll go out at like 7, be done at like 9:30.
I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. Get a little fishbowl. Do they do fishbowls after COVID? Did they come back?
They still do fishbowls. They still do fishbowls. Yep.
They're like
the last time we did fishbowls, we got the flu, the regular flu.
They're like COVID couldn't handle a fishbowl. So
yeah, all the alcohol just kills it.
Fishbowls are essentially boosters.
Yeah. I like it, guys. You heard it here first. Official statement from the University of Wisconsin-Madison Foundation Alumni Association. Drink more to be immune to COVID. Got it.
Correct.
Also, only go to school if you need to. Kate, is there anything else you want to plug? Because we're winding down here. We're already past our time, so I appreciate you hanging
Oh
out.
my goodness. I don't know. Thank you so much for having me. I say to all you UW grads, homecoming is coming up the week of so October 21st will be homecoming parade and block parties. So make your way down to State Street, check out the parade, party in Alumni Park, enjoy some good live music on the terrace.
Oh yeah.
And drink water.
We're totally gonna do that, but we'll drink poison water, just like we did here today. It'll be good. Alcohol, in case anyone's wondering. Okay. Thanks, Kate. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny because like we had a little over an hour conversation, and I feel like okay, now we're just kind of getting into it, right? Now we're getting into the thick of stuff. So we'll definitely circle back and have you on again. Check out homecoming. Yeah, the university. I'm so bitter that the university, I feel like everything became beautiful after I graduated, like Union South, Memorial, 100%. The corridor, like redoing
everything
all the dorms.
Is nice now.
It was like,
and it's just getting better. Humanities is going to come down, but that's for another show.
Oh my gosh.
That's another show.
You heard it here first, folks.
Breaking news.
We got the scoop, just like Keith Morrison. Thank you. Thanks for coming on, Kate. Anything else, John?
Thanks.
I think she just made a threat on humanity.
Humanity's coming down. All right, that's what we got.
Laugh.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're gonna have. Oh, go ahead.
Prehn for teens. That's what my takeaway.
Thank you.
Prehn for teens.
Make a T-shirt. Fight the good fight. We're gonna be back in a couple of weeks with more guests. I've got some communications out there, so we're just trying to figure out who to have on next. This is a podcast as well, so if you don't already, subscribe to the podcast. Where's a link? There's a link. So you'll eventually be on the podcast too when we get this into the rotation. It'll be fantastic. That's what we got. I don't even remember how to end these things. So thanks, Kate, for coming. Thanks everyone else for hanging out. I think I have an ending screen and we're out. So thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.